no Goldilocks, and there's more than 3 bears. Coming up next on the Journal.
From every point on the compass, from the woodlands and fields and waterways, come thrills and excitement and challenges enough for every man, woman, and child. These are our adventures, our stories of the wild places, both near and far. All of the hits, the misses, the memories. Our time spent living the wild life. Join us. Venture out into the world at the end of the asphalt. The world of the Wilderness Journal. The Journal is underwritten by
Algoma Country, Ontario, Canada. It's that scenic, that remote, that calm. 100-page travel guide available at fishalgoma.net. And by Heinz Propane, with locations in Mount Pleasant, Clare, Beaverton, and Harrison, Michigan. Heinz Propane provides residential and commercial services throughout the state. Heinz Propane, your hometown propane provider. And by the Ina Store in Tustin, Michigan. Ina Store features Case, IH, and a full line of Kubota tractors and RTVs, as well as parts, service, and accessories. The Ina Store in beautiful downtown Ina, Michigan. By Mads Outdoor Product, a full-line Avalon dealer. Mads also features Miracraft boat and Featherlight trailer, as well as combination boat, dock, and lift packages. Mads Outdoor Product, in the center of it all, Harrison and Cadillac, Michigan. Captioning provided by DP Tire Services Commercial and Retread Division.
Hi friends, and welcome. Today we're headed north and west. We're going all the way up to Alberta, Canada for a springtime black bear hunt. Now we're going to join our man Bill Funk and 4 West Michigan friends as they go out with Wayne Zaft up in Alberta. And I should tell you, in this part of Canada, you can actually harvest 2 bears in the springtime if you choose to. And what I've seen in the past from this place tells me there's going to be plenty to choose from. In fact, with this many guys out with that many bears, I think this trip could best be described as hectic. Hey, I'm your host, Kyle Randall. This is my Wilderness Journal, and we're going spring bear hunting right now. Scott Nearly had just gotten into the stand when a bear that obviously knew the way came looking for him. Fortunately, the bear decided to head to the bait instead. Now Scott was going to have to decide. He'd come a long ways for this chance, but it was just the first night, the first 5 minutes on stand.
I think we'll let him go. He's a little small. Okay, sounds good. Yeah.
First night on the stand, and Scott decided he was going to wait. This was a pretty good bear, but Bill assured him there'd be plenty of other chances. And not more than an hour later...
No, same bear. Split here. Same bear. Yeah, see, his spirit is. Yeah.
It was the same bear coming back. But Scott was still sort of right because this time it appeared he'd brought a friend with him. This looked like an even bigger bear.
That one's a little bigger. Yeah, not much though.
And, okay, maybe they weren't all that friendly.
Wow. See both of their hind legs.
After a brief, albeit heated discussion,
The bears finally settled into the bait, and now Scott was going to have to choose again.
He's a nice bear. Yeah. What do you think? He's a very, very nice bear. Hey, I think we can do better. All right.
Scott passed again, and this appeared to be an even older, bigger bear. Now, I should tell you, Bill has been up hunting with Wayne a lot of times, and I was fairly certain Scott was still willing to take his advice, wait for something even better, at least for the first day.
Day 2 on the stand, and Scott and Bill were looking at a very small bear being very careful as it approached the bait site. But instead of going to the bait, he went around behind the tree and just disappeared. And then the reason came slowly tracking in. There was a much bigger bear stalking in right behind that little guy. And obviously the little guy knew it because he went right straight to the top of the tallest tree, and he stayed there. That bigger bear just kind of loitered underneath that tree. He ate a little, but not much. He never went to the bait can. It seemed like he was just kind of waiting on that little bear to come down out of that tree. In fact, he waited so long, the guys had to run him off so they could get down.
Friends, you should know this isn't the cartoon world. This is the real deal. And in the real world, big bears, especially big male bears, very often hunt down, kill, and eat young bears. When they're fresh out of the den they haven't eaten all winter long, they're looking for anything and everything to fill that emptiness, and that includes a young bear if he doesn't pay attention.
And speaking of paying attention, Bill went out the next night with Bruce Gillette. And they hadn't even got totally settled in the stand when a bear that was cutting across in front of them heard something, turned around and came stalking right back at him.
Do you have any other arrows?
Bruce had dropped his quiver full of crossbow bolts, all his arrows, and now the bear was coming back to find out what that noise was. That, friends, is Bruce's quiver. Yeah, right there on the ground next to the bear. That'd be it. This big boy finally worked his way off toward the bait. Not that Bruce could do anything about it. His bolts were all on the ground. Still, at least they hadn't spooked him and run him out of there completely. At least not yet.
That clicking sound you heard? That was Bruce actually cocking his crossbow. What you didn't see was before he could do that, Bill had to crawl down the ladder and retrieve his quiver full of crossbow bolts, his arrows. Yeah, he dropped them. And when that bear crossed right over top of him, well, let's just say that it was getting to be some intense in that stand. That big boy was only 25 yards away while all that was going on. And I have to say, I think it actually shook Bruce up more than it did Bill.
I say that because
You missed him. Did I? I think so.
A clean miss. Fortunately for Bruce, though, the noise didn't even seem to bother that big old bear. In fact, he just went over, picked up a piece of meat, and then strode out into the bush, no doubt looking for a little quieter place to have his dinner.
And believe it or not, after finishing that piece, he turned around and came back for seconds.
Okay, here we go. Okay, when you are. As soon as he stops to grab that meat. Okay, I'm ready.
Ready?
Try to put it right in the middle. It's okay. He's right in the middle. That's a bear.
That's a bear and a half.
Oh. He's just in there, maybe 40, 50 yards laying down. We can see him. So,
Hopefully it's good enough yet.
Oh,
I'm sure it's long, double long, but
yeah, it just was back a little bit, but he's going nowhere. We got 6 hours to sit here, so he's going
yeah,
nowhere.
shit. I'm not even
So-
gonna cock my bow.
No, heck, we're done. That's your second bear
That's
in
my
2
second
nights?
bear, so 2 nights. 2
2
bear.
nights. Yeah. Good job, buddy.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was
That's
awesome.
cool.
Yep.
Appreciate it.
No problem.
It was finally
Ready
time.
to get him?
Let's go get him.
All right, let's try him. I think that's him, buddy. Yep, I see it. Keep going.
There he is.
I'm pretty sure he's taking a dirt nap, but
Dad, there's the door now.
didn't move, did he?
Nope.
Buddy, wait till you put your hands on him. Ah, holy dude. He's up there.
Oh, I hit him way back.
Yeah, you did, but that's all right. He didn't go far. Just touch him in the nose with your bow. I just want to double check, man. I like to make sure.
Bill Funk, I just want to thank you for being with me tonight, putting together this whole hunt, taking care of me. Man, couldn't ask for anything better.
Yeah.
And I want to thank Andrew. He was my man last night, and Wayne. Those two guys are partners,
Yeah.
and they put on the spread for you.
Yeah.
It's a great, great thing.
Wayne Zaff's Hunting Adventures, Alberta, Canada.
After all that, Bruce finally had his second bear. He actually harvested his first bear, a real dandy, on the first night of the hunt while Bill was out with Scott. Congratulations, Bruce, on a couple of great bears and an even greater story. And speaking of stories,
The following evening, Bill went out with our friend Mike Repta. And after sitting for a little bit, they noticed a small bear working its way into the bait. You could tell this wasn't a dominant animal just by watching him, the way it moved, how cautious he was. The guys knew that sooner or later a bigger bear would show up and displace this one, and until then, this would be pretty good entertainment if nothing else. Mike had just given up on the idea that a bigger bear was coming and started to set down his bow when he noticed this little guy staring and sniffing. Something was coming in right behind him. Mike looked down and it was a grouse. Not exactly a bigger bear, but certainly more entertainment.
and I think I should mention about now that Mike found out firsthand in the bush, you don't always have to go looking for entertainment. No, sometimes it'll come looking for you.
It might find you while you're walking into your stand site, for instance.
Go on.
And it just might find you once you're already in that stand. Friends, I have a pretty good idea what most hunters are thinking when they're looking down at a bear this close. But I do still wonder from time to time what that bear might be thinking when he's looking back up. I do know that Mike saw bears who didn't think much of each other. And a few that were so excited to see him, they waited for him out at the road.
You ready? Gotta load up.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Yeah, get that thing ready because it's going to be.
Mike even saw bears that appeared to be on the lookout just waiting to see him. What he didn't see was a color phase bear.
Mike was seeing and being seen by plenty of bears, but with his heart set on collecting a color phase bear if possible, he had decided to hold off, so Bill went out with Merle Potgetter the next night in hopes of seeing him collect his second bear of the trip.
Merle shot one last night, but we're for a bigger one tonight, so we're just getting set up, and we should be a good night.
And it appeared Bill was right. Not 10 minutes after getting set up, this bear started working its way in. That's a pretty good night on a bear stand. 10 minutes and you're already looking at one. This appeared to be a 3 or 4 year old boar. Certainly not a big old good one yet, so Merle just left his rifle set there and watched. Hopefully, sooner or later, something a little older would show up.
With Merle and some of the other guys deciding to hold off, Bill decided he'd go back out with Scott and Early, and friends, I have to tell you, that proved to be a very fortuitous decision.
Locked and loaded and thermocell deployed, the guys were waiting, and they didn't have to wait long before there was a bear working his way in straight behind the bait. And it looked like a pretty good bear.
That's a 6-foot bear. Let me take a good look at it.
This appeared to be a 3 or maybe 4-year-old boar. Not a bad young bear, but he was kinda young, and Scott was gonna have to decide. The hunt was wearing on some, but was this the bear he'd come all the way to Alberta for? He was gonna wait. And until then, like I always say, this would be pretty good entertainment. The guys sat watching until that young boar stood up. He started sniffing and looking around. It was obvious he was a little nervous. And then Scott heard and then saw another bear working its way in through the brush.
They've got another bear right out here walking around. Bag. It ran away, so I'm gonna assume it's just a little bit smaller.
This bear seemed to be pretty cautious, but as they watched, they saw him coming again. And this time, he was headed right straight in. These two boars appeared to be fairly evenly matched. The second bear might have been a year older. He appeared to be a little bigger. And I think the first bear thought so because it didn't take much and he was leaving. The bigger of the two boars worked his way out and claimed the bait. This was definitely a better bear, and that smaller bear was giving him a pretty wide berth. Now Scott was going to have to decide, was this the bear? Obviously, the decision was made. Now it was on Scott. Scott kept waiting for this bear to turn to give him a broadside shot, but he just kept facing straight on. Friends, this kind of stuff will give you gray hair. See? And finally,
Okay, when you're ready.
Scott had made a good shot, but he noticed as his bear ran off, the other bear turned and ran right back behind him.
You smoked him. Oh, you smoked him.
And when I say right behind him, I mean right behind him.
I've only been in a stand an hour and 15 minutes. We got one right down here below us. 10 yards away. Just not sure what that is. But that's Scotty's first bear, so I'm happy. In 5 days of hunting, how many bears you seen? A bunch. Yeah. Unreal. Yeah. I'm pretty sure this is the same bear that came in when we first got here.
And as the guys sat there watching the bear behind him, another bear walked out to the bait in front of him. These guys were literally surrounded by bears. I'm sure all Scott wanted to do was get down and go get his bear, but at the moment, well, let's just say that'd be a bad choice. The new bear pushed the smaller bear off and then made his way back up toward the bait, only to stand there sniffing and looking. Another bear was coming and he took off through the woods to run him off.
Awesome. I pinwheeled him. Yeah. Nice shot. Thank you, brother.
It was finally time to go get Scott's bear. Or so the guys thought.
Finding Scott's bear wasn't hard. Finding out they weren't alone looking for it, that was a little tougher.
That's a nice bear, buddy. Nice job, buddy.
Thank you.
That's a great bear. It's a great bear.
We had his head down. Right. Unless it hit something.
Yeah. Hey, go on. All right, let's back out of here and leave him be.
Fortunately for Scott, the reinforcements made it just in time.
Congratulations, Scott, and thank you again to all of the guys, especially our man Bill, for letting us go along and share that with you. Be it spring or fall, friends, bear hunting can be challenging and exciting. How often can you go out and chase something that can chase you back?
Go on.
It's a great time, and I truly want to thank Wayne Zaft again. Folks, I hope you get the chance to go out there and try to collect yourself a big old Bruin. I hope we bump into you somewhere in the woods dragging yours out, and if we do, well, you know we're going to stop and share a cup and a fire. And if I don't see you out there, friends, well, then I'll be waiting for you right back here so we can share another adventure from my Wilderness Journal.